There are two films this weekend coming out starring Jason Momoa. He's a he's a star this weekend in neither film actually, but he's featured in both of them. And between Supergirl and In the Hand of Dante, and I haven't seen Supergirl, but I feel pretty confident in saying that In the Hand of Dante is definitely the worst of the two. So let's get into it. This is Julian Schnabel's baffling Venice premiere that got picked up by Netflix because its cast is amazing. So it's pretty easy to slap on the platform and get some views. Because Schnabel, who has been responsible previously for films like The Diving Bell and the Butterfly, Before Night Falls, At Eternity's Gate, and of course Basquiat. He's gotten some actors to awards acclaim, to Oscar nominations. And so I can see why people would be attracted to this piece. But I don't know if they should. But clearly, a lot of people at this point wanted to work with him because his cast is stacked. Uh, it's kind of a baffling cast, but it's still stacked. I mean, if you read off these names, it's in any other context, it's a huge cast. So it's Oscar Isaac, who plays Nick, and also Dante Alighieri. Gal Gadot plays his love interest in both timelines. John Malkovich plays Joe Black, so you get to meet Joe Black. Anyway, Gerard Butler is I can't remember the name of his character, but he's probably doing the most if we were to give like a performance award here. He plays, I just didn't like his character though. I mean, he plays an abrasive assassin, would be the best way to put it. Then Momoa plays a character that comes into play sort of in the third act. I don't know what his name was, Rigoletto or something. It didn't matter at that point. I was like, oh, whatever. Sabrina Impaccitore is toward the end of the film too. She's more like a third act character. Al Pacino pops up in the first act and then is never heard from again. Playing Uncle something. Martin Scorsese pops in and out as a priest that's talking to Dante about his life choices, being in the film. Scorsese's also a producer here, and it's tragic for me to hear that he didn't get to see a cut of this film, which is what I'm assuming, before it landed at Venice, because I can't think of a possible participation in the production other than him sitting there and reading some dialogue and what was probably a very easy shoot for him. It's not like he runs around Italy, so that's left mostly to Oscar Isaac, to run around Italy. Anyway, so the cast is, there's no problem with the cast. This is a great cast. How they're utilized, though, that's something else. This film does have audio description. It's International Digital Center, written by Stephen Christopher, voiced by Jamie Lemcheck. So the description's great. Like, I got no problem with that. That's one of the best writers and the best narrators in the game. Like, this description was flawless. The movie is long as shit. It's like 2 hours and 40 minutes long. But did you know that if you watch it on your phone, that Netflix has playback speed? And quickly, phones that are dragging don't drag so much when you clock them up to 1.25. So it felt the runtime a little bit less than somebody else, but even with that, I was like, God damn, this movie is long. It whines too. I don't know what he's trying to say with this film. He has Oscar Isaac playing Nick and Dante, and there's like there's a quote that I found from him that says something about how, why can't these characters, why can't Dante be a great artist and then also a young gangster? in modern day. You know what I'm saying? Like, why can't those two things almost like they're like, what is time? You know, like time is a loop and we all live on it. And then I guess the reincarnation theory, like we come back. So I guess it is heavily implied through him having some of these characters play people across different timelines that they have, that's who they were back then. And the reason why they're so drawn to the Dante Alighieri stuff now is because they were them back then, which means that once again Nick found Gal Gadot as, you know, as love interest. By the way, if you hate this film because of people's political beliefs, you're going to be hating a lot of movies for the rest of your life. So that's more of like an individual conversation to have outside of the films. But this, yeah, I'm not bringing up the uh, Gal Butler of it all. So I'm just trying to judge this film for what it is, because that's enough. That's enough as it is. He makes a comment, Nick makes a comment about not being edited. Has ever been edited? There's a comment in there about like, if you look at anything long enough, you'll find something wrong with it. I was like, dude, I looked at this film for like 5 minutes and I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. And like immediately started wondering like my life choices. So I did not need to look at this film for very long. This is not a film that I need to like, where I'm questioning it and I'm like, oh, I gotta really look at this film so I can figure out what's wrong with it. Why isn't it working? What is this? That's a lot of the dialogue, just to be totally honest. It's the film also seems to not really have any concept of what it is that it's doing. I don't even understand the hate against Gal Gadot within the context of this movie, because she didn't do anything. She doesn't do anything. She's basically there to be pretty. She plays Nick's girlfriend. She doesn't have substantial scenes. She doesn't have big dramatic moments. Like, she's not even in most of the movie. So it's debatable as to whether or not she is second billing. Gerard Butler is in at least as much. And then the thing about Butler's character is he's one of those characters that never shuts up. So you feel his presence in every single scene. This film loves to kill people, by the way. Just blowing people in the head, just bam, you know. So many people die in this movie. I thought the ending was cheesy as hell. The ending just was... I don't know. I would love, what's good? Is there anything that's good about this? The good thing is that even when a film is seemingly a hodgepodge of themes and ideas, and the script is aimless, when you hand certain people scripts and dialogue that's really weak, they really try to pull something out of it. There are lines here that make absolutely no sense that they're uttering, by Isaac, by Malkovich, by Scorsese. Scorsese's not even really an actor. He struggles with a little bit of the stuff that he's being asked to sell, but at least he makes his scenes interesting. My biggest problem here would be Momoa. Jason Momoa does not have that in his body yet. People who keep throwing Gal Gadot under the bus for this is just... it's unnecessary, because her role truly, she has nothing to do with this except be attractive. Like, her whole job in this film is to be like Nick's girlfriend. So anytime she calls in, she's like, I miss you, I love you. And then I was worried about you. Where have you been? It's very simple stuff. She's fine with it. She's never asked to like cry over the loss of a child, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, these are not things. She doesn't have any big moments. Nobody was trying to get her an Oscar through this. There's nothing about her performance that screams that anybody was thinking, man, Gal, she's got it. You know, she's going to take award season by storm. It's just not set up that way. I would argue, though, that most of the roles aren't set up that way. Al Pacino again has like one scene. Uh, I Was he set up? No, unless you're really believing the Judd Hirsch rule of I don't need to be in the film for very long if I'm making a strong enough impression. He and Scorsese have relatively the same amount of screen time, except Scorsese is parsed throughout the film. Malkovich is just doing John Malkovich. I mean, let's just call it what it is. That's just, Malkovich showed up on set and just, I'm John Malkovich, and this is how I do all my characters. I don't know. It's it's like he has range, but then doesn't have range at the same time. Some actors have a very specific personality type, so does Pacino, where it's really easy, and Christopher Walken and people like that, which is why it's so easy to copy their mannerisms, right? Because they have mannerisms, and then when they're phoning it in, it's the most of that they are. I would say this is the most Malkovich type performance that he's done in a while, where there's no real signs of acting here. There's just Malkovich reading some dialogue. He was acting more in Opus last year. Here he plays like a crime boss, but I don't think Malkovich put a lot of thought into what is what makes me a crime boss. He's like, I'm interesting. I'm inherently interesting in and of myself. Theretofore, people will enjoy my dialogue. On the other side of things, you have Gerard Butler, who is doing a thing. He's got like an accent, he's got a character, he doesn't sound like himself. He's completely reinvented the wheel here. And it's so, and Momoa tries to do the same thing, to be fair. He tries to give himself an accent. Well, I don't know where he's from, but he tried. um, so some people are just, being themselves, and then other people are trying performances. And in this is Oscar Isaac, who's still thinking to himself, I'd love to win an Oscar someday. I'd love to be nominated. My name is Oscar. How have I not been in the conversation before? But his role is so weird and so bizarre because at one point he seems like he's just like a Dante enthusiast, and then he becomes pulled into this criminal underworld, and then his character becomes darker and somehow more criminally adept as the film pursues, and he's able to turn tables around and outthink people. And I'm trying to follow his trajectory as a character, like from beginning to end, as to like how he would have flipped the script on people in an already violent movie. There's a somewhat hilarious scene where they're talking about how to get their hands on this Dante manuscript. And this, old Italian crime boss and the home that it's in, and that the guy killed his dad, and then people were coming by for the body, and people trying to retrieve the body, and he's just like standing up in the window just like picking people off. And I was like, man, these crime types are not very good at their job, are they? They just keep, and the joke of all the bodies like lying in the street or around the home, littered because they tried to come and claim his father's body. I don't know what that had to say necessarily about anything, but it was kind of funny just watching him picking off these people. And I'm like, is this a comedy? Like, what are we doing here now? I mean, it would be sort of appropriate with Dante's Divine Comedy being sort of at the focus of it if there was some of that in here. But the film also has a lot of really sort of violent and vile things that happen throughout it. Butler's character is deeply unapproachable and dislikable. From his big introductory scene where he just berates somebody, says a whole bunch of homophobic shit, and tries to set up a scene before making it what it is. And I couldn't like his character the whole time. Do I appreciate what Butler's doing here as an actor? Yeah, he's doing the most, which is weird to say for Gerard Butler in a film with this cast. That Gerard Butler's doing the most, but he is. He's trying to disappear into a character the most. Uh, Everybody else is just on a sliding scale. So I would not put Gal Gadot at the bottom. I think that belongs to Momoa. So not only is the film bad, but I've actually heard he's pretty decent as Lobo in Supergirl. And he's not good in here. I think he's the weakest link of the cast. Although, to be fair, I wasn't really that big of a fan of Sabrina Impaccitore. I didn't think she met her character to, I didn't really, um, I'm not really sure what Malkovich does to this role. Pacino is just doing himself for 5 minutes. Scorsese is again. I'm sure that shot his shoot took like one day, maybe. Because all he ever does is just talk to Isaac, and then it's like spread out and parsed throughout the film. So these are not like big performances. What takes up time is the drawing the parallels between two different timelines and trying to suggest that Nick is Dante, and therefore that's why he's drawn to this. Is he has a right to be drawn to this, and then to profit off of the the ownership of Dante's work, the original manuscript. Listen, Julian Schnabel, this is easily his worst film. And it's because the rest of his filmography is so good that you can, like, flat out just, put this up against Diving Bell, Basquiat, Before Night Falls, At Eternity's Gate, and it's like, it's not even close. Like, I don't know what happened. I don't know what he was trying to do or say or what he wanted to do here. Some of those films are not in the English language. So maybe it behooves him to be able to do things not in English. And now he's working with all of these actors, and he didn't really draw consistently strong talent across the board. And for some of the talent that he does have that's strong, they're very limited in what they're doing in screen time. Not to say that leading the film on Oscar Isaac isn't a bad thing to do. That is absolutely the right thing to do. To be fair, for instance, for Coppola made that same choice when he put Adam Driver in charge of Megalopolis. Like, those are rising stars. They're supposed to be able to carry a movie. The problem is the movie that they're carrying is not worth carrying. It's a film that dares you to criticize it. It's a film that openly says, yeah, well, you're going to find something wrong with it, because if you look at this long enough, you'll find something wrong with it. That's how it works. And with anything in life, if you stare at anything long enough, it's like, I was finding stuff wrong with the film like within the first 5-10 minutes. I didn't need to stare at this film for I already had before that line was uttered, I already had qualms about the film. I was already feeling like it was tonally shifting. Like, if it felt like a film that had been shot in fragments, and then so it wasn't really sure what kind of a film it was. Tonally, when you come back, sometimes with reshoots, certain scenes feel like they have more levity to them than other scenes, and they feel a little bit more out of place. But it feels like that somebody was like, "Well, we need this here because it's otherwise the film is too dark or too, or we're missing this part. This is what we're missing." But then it goes back to the whole like, "Well, nobody edits me" idea. It's like, well, did you edit it? Did you edit yourself? Did anybody ever edit this film? Did anybody ever look at this film and go, we could cut some things? So, uh, it's kind of baffling. It's not as baffling as, mainly because the cast here is more up to it than the cast. I know the cast of In the Blink of an Eye, Andrew Stanton's live action movie. There were some people in there who should be able to act and carry their way out of a movie, but it was not working. And put a lot on people who were not able to make sense of Stanton's original live action film from earlier in the year. This one is hit and miss, as sections that are not as bad as others. So it's not quite in the blink of an eye for me. And definitely I feel like I've seen worse films than like Strangers Chapter 3. Some other films I'm sure are escaping me. Chum is better than Chum. It's interesting. There's a part of it that's interesting. However, it's not daring enough. This is where I get into the so bad it's good, which is I felt that I like The Bride more than this. Let me just say it that way, because what Maggie Gyllenhaal did with The Bride is nothing if not interesting. Even if you don't like it, it's still interesting. What she's done with that film is she's made bold choices and she's swinging for fences. In the Hand of Dante isn't really doing that. In the Hand of Dante is just kind of stumbling over itself. It doesn't really make a lot of bold choices. It's not like this is the first film where we've drawn parallel storylines, and had people across time playing the same, like, well, this character is connected to that character that's connected to that character. Like, we've seen that before. So it's not that unusual. There's nothing really but the style of filmmaking. Like, switching from color to black and white is not, like, ooh, what a strong directorial choice. So I'm talking about films like we've had recently, like Joker Folie à Deux, which, he turned what was like a gritty action crime superhero thriller into a musical. I mean, that's the kind of big bold swing that I'm talking about when I say sometimes these films are bad, but they're interesting. Like the first time through, you go, my God, what is this? But I'm so captivated by it. And I can say that about Megalopolis. I can say that about Joker. I can say that about The Bride. I can say that about a couple films, but this is not that. This is just a film that just doesn't work. And it has aspects of it that don't work. It has aspects of it that I would have expected Julian Schnabel to look at and go, can I coach Momoa? Like, can I make a better actor of Jason Momoa? It almost would have behooved them to make his character mute. He has such a strong presence that if he had no dialogue, I don't think people would have noticed. Do you know what I'm saying? For what he's asked to do in the film, he's not in the film that much. So if you take his 10 lines of dialogue, I don't know, 12, and just cut them and make him like a silent, threat, I think his performance would be better for it. Sort of like Gal, like she doesn't have anything to do here. I don't know why people are bitching about her. She doesn't do anything. she just she's so neutralized within the confines of this film. I cannot recommend this film. I'm sorry. I just cannot. I liked I've liked some other really sort of films this year more than In the Hand of Dante. I struggled to come up with like a really one great, like, man, you got to see this because of blank. And the best thing I can say is Gerard Butler is doing a lot. The thing is, I also hated his character. So that's that's a stretch for me to say, oh, you got to make sure you catch this Gerard Butler performance. I suppose for the performance, but otherwise, I mean, Oscar Isaac's been better in other things too. So this is not even a great Oscar Isaac performance. He's fine, but he doesn't take away from the film. God. Anyway, In the Hand of Dante. Um, not only did Netflix not even try to put this in an award season, they dropped this in the middle of the summer. I think they have Little Brother that opens like today or something like that. So they have like another film in the same week, and they just had one last week. They just know it's not gonna. They acquired it because of the names. They're putting it out there. I think they're hoping a lot of people just they watch it, you know what I'm saying? It gets its watch hours, but they know this is not gonna bring subscribers. Um, but it looks cool because it looks like a festival acquisition on the surface, even though it premiered out of competition. So, yeah, I'm gonna give In the Hand of Dante, I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 10. There's some acting here that's not bad, is okay. There's some acting here that doesn't work. The film doesn't really work. What he's trying to say is it's the wrong film to flex your muscles on with the whole like I not edited, and the only people who find something wrong are the people who look at something for too long. It's the wrong film for that argument. The rest of your career is fine. Like, you should have made that argument in, like, that should be in Basquiat or At Eternity's Gate, you know, it should be Willem Dafoe saying that in At Eternity's Gate, you know? But it's in this film, and this is by far Julian Schnabel's worst film, like, by far, which is it's actually a compliment. It's backhanded compliment, but it is actually a compliment because the rest of his filmography is like, what is even happening here? Um, like, I think I think Basquiat might be the only one that didn't get an Oscar nomination. I'm not 100% sure Basquiat was nominated for anything. I think the other three were all nominated in at least one category at the Oscars. Diving Bell, Before Night Falls, and At Eternity's Gate. If I'm correct, At Eternity's Gate got a nomination for Willem Dafoe. Before Night Falls got a nomination for, um, is it Benicio or Javier that's in that? It's been a long time. I also remember Johnny Depp being in that. And then Diving Bell, I think, got international feature. So, yeah. Anyway, or adapted screenplay or something, one of those two. So you don't need to watch this. It's 2 hours and 40 minutes of your life. You don't need to watch this. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I'll see you guys on the other side.